Emmy and Tony Award-winning actress Cynthia Nixon is best known for her star-making role as Miranda Hobbs on the wildly successful TV series Sex and the City.
My parents separated when I was about 6. I lived with my mother and I saw my father, for a day on the weekend. So I was much closer to my mother growing up, but my father doted on me and loved me. My father was never one to talk about himself. So I'm gonna trace my father's side because I don't know terribly much about the family before him.
Well, based on the information that you had to start with, I found some new information, so go ahead and
Okay, this is for me?
unravel this,
All right.
and you can see what I have.
So Samuel Nixon, and then he was married to Mary M. ? We don't know her maiden name. So how can we track down Mary's maiden name?
What I did was look at information about Mary M. under her married name.
So this is a death certificate from Mary M. Nixon. We don't know her father's name, but we know her mother's maiden name.
I would suggest we search on Ancestry.com.
Okay.
See if we can find a marriage record for any Martha Kernets.
Okay, there she is. Martha Kernet, spouse, Noah Casto. So that makes me curious to try and find out what the household is like, and are Noah and Martha living together, and do they have children?
So we would want to go to the U.S. Federal Census collection, but let's try Kernet.
And then search. And there she is, Martha Kernet. Oh, wow. Look at all the household members. So based on this census, it's my assumption that the 3 children born after Martha Kernet and Noah Casto married are theirs. But I'm incredibly curious why they don't share their father's last name. They don't have Noah Casto's name, right?
No.
Noah's not in the household.
He's not.
So I wonder where he is and what this means, and even if he's dead or gone, why they don't have his last name anyway. I'm intrigued by this woman, Martha Kernet. And whatever happened to Noah Casto? Whatever happened to her husband? Did they separate? Did he die? Where did he go? So now I'm heading to Jefferson City, Missouri.
I did find some records for the name of Martha Casto, and I was able to find a very interesting excerpt from a book.
Okay. Mrs. Casto murdered her husband by striking him with an axe while sleeping. That sounds like murder to me. That doesn't sound like manslaughter.
Finding her guilty of manslaughter could be a way of avoiding having to sentence her to death.
Wow.
We know that she kills her husband with an axe, but why?
Why
did she do that? What would the motive be?
So if the murder happened in 1843, maybe Martha's given birth in jail and she's killed her husband while she was pregnant with their child. I still have some really burning questions.
This catalog will tell us if there are any newspapers that might have something about the murder.
So that should be it. Got it. A man whose name our informant had forgotten had been in the habit of treating his wife in a manner too brutal and too shocking to think of. He told his wife to get up and get breakfast for himself and her 2 children, and then to commence saying her prayers, for she should die, he swore, before sunset.
She didn't have a whole lot of options. She may have been either at the end of her rope or really, truly in fear of her life.
It is awful to think of what Martha endured. I think his behavior is unforgivable.
This building here dates from the 1860s, but it's on the footprint of the original building that was here, and Martha would have been on this spot in a prison that looked even grimmer than this one.
I don't suppose there's any way about knowing anything about Martha herself.
As a matter of fact, we have an amazing book that was published by a man who was imprisoned here in exactly the same years that Martha was here.
In the early part of our time, a woman came for killing her husband. In the fall, she became the mother of a daughter. So more than a year after she, so that can't possibly be Noah Casto's child. The doctor refused to be present at the time of her delivery. The whole is a horrid, disgraceful affair on all sides. However Martha might have felt about her decision to kill Noah Casto in the way she did, she must have felt that she couldn't imagine anything worse than life with her husband until she got here. Here we are. Now, let's see. the undersigned would respectfully recommend the said Martha as a proper subject for the exercise of the pardoning power. And then it's signed. Oh my goodness, look at so many people.
These are not the kind of people you would expect to see on a typical petition for pardon. These are prominent political figures. Martha's incarceration in many ways was a turning point in Missouri penal history. Her experience becomes a launching point for a change for the better.
I think my biggest takeaway from this journey is that people can defy the odds. I think of myself as a strong person, but Martha's strength is so towering. She made history, certainly never in a way that she would have chosen to make it, but she did make history nonetheless, and she did start a change that affected incarcerated women all over the United States.